Hey folks, musicians, friends out there, Mike again. Thanks for tuning in. Been quite a long time since I did my last video, so sorry for that. I was quite busy due to my job. Today I want to show you how to use the tracker function or the feature within Superior Drummer. This is basically the first part of a whole mix using Superior Drummer. I got this question quite often if I can show kind of like a start to finish mix using Superior Drummer, but as I realized that there are not a lot of videos out there showing the tracker feature in Superior Drummer, which is kind of like a drum replacement feature, I decided kind of like do at least two different videos for the whole topic or for the same topic, replacing acoustic drums, real acoustic recorded drums, using Superior Drummer with the tracker feature. Like in the first video, I'm going to show you now how to use that feature, what benefits are, what you kind of like need to look at, and then afterwards in a second video or maybe multiple videos coming afterwards, I will show you like the whole mix from start to finish, really like including vocals, guitars, like the whole mix using Superior Drummer on the fly. But this is gonna be a second video, so you will find, I'm pretty sure, the link in the description box or maybe in the info box in the corner to really show you like the whole process start to finish. But I have some tea ready and hopefully you will learn something. So let's check this out. So this is a song I've been working on. It's called Passenger Side from a band called Evening Darling. So I will show you first the song. This is really the real recording. Let me mute Superior Drummer for now. The only thing I did, as you see in the screen, I did some region markers here to kind of like find the different, where the choruses and the verses start. Some panning left to right to give it like kind of like the first rough mix, but you see on the screen no plugging, no EQ, no processing all so far. So let's have a first listen on the track, starting from the beginning into like kind of like the first chorus, like 1.5 minutes maybe. So here's the song. So here is kind of like a straight pop, country style, Americana style song, very nice. We're gonna mix this really from start to finish, so you can accompany me, look inside my head, look at my mixing decision. But today, the first thing I wanna do is replace the drums. So you could ask just like why Superior Drum? Just use a drum replacement software like Trigger, all that stuff. I will talk about this in a few, but just like kind of like to anticipate right now already. The problem with classical drum replacement with one-shot samples or sample you record it or have bought in several packs is that the samples are usually one-shot. So if you have kind of like a more organic acoustic feel like this song is already, it's sometimes hard. You achieve a more modern flat sound, which is fine for a lot of genres, like looking at all the modern music, looking at some Blink 182 stuff, like really radio pop drums. This is fine to have like a consistent one-shot kick drum that really popping out the speaker. But if you want to kind of like capture a more organic and natural feel, Superior Drummer is the program to go due to the many velocity layers, the software and all the detail, the way they recorded it. So the drums themselves don't sound that bad, to be honest, but just like for the sake of this video, I wanted to pick a song where the drums are kind of like straightforward. They have some issues, of course, because I haven't did so far anything so far. So let's have a quick listen just on the drums, and you will hear kind of like it's less cymbal going on. You hear those 16s on the floor drum during the pretty much the whole song. So a decent recording, kick, snare, microphones, overhead, some room microphones. So I already loaded an instance of Superior Drummer here. The core library, as you see, is just like the Gretsch kit coming from the core library of Superior Drummer 3. What I already did, and I've kind of like already did the whole process because it's kind of like annoying, time consuming to see, but I will lead you through. So what I did is I loaded in the original tracks that you just saw in my DAW in the song. I didn't use any single track of that. For instance, for the kick, I just used the kick in microphone, and for the snare, just the snare top. Make sure that you use those recordings or the WAV files where the particular instrument is most noticeable to hear, because what the software will do, and I'm already like into explaining what this feature is doing, it listens to the specific frequencies that's most prominent for that particular instrument. So the software kind of like recognizes when a kick is hitting, that due to the frequency response of that kick, that this is actually a kick, and the same for the snare. Kick and snare are usually quite easy to recognize for the software. It can get tricky to the toms, and I will talk about this in a few, and especially replacing hi-hat and overhead and cymbal mics. It's doable, depends on the song, how many work you have to put into this. I mean, if you kind of want to replace a Jeff Porcaro, like really the tripled 16s on the hi-hat, it can really be tricky and long lasting. This song is pretty much straightforward, but just for the sake of showing you the feature, I picked this one. So let's start with the kick here. I highlight this, let's solo the kick. You have this mix knob first and foremost, which I use for recognizing that, like when you bring the fader or this little knob all to the left, you just hear the original kick drum, and when you bring the fader all the way to the right, you just hear the particular sample which you choose depending on your library. So let's bring the fader all the left down, so we just hear the microphone from that kick, and let's first mute or solo just Superior Drummer. So this is the kick, and the software is following the whole song. So if you kind of like hit play, the song starts, Superior Drummer starts as well. So this is the original kick coming from the recording. So though you hear the bleed of the snare coming through that kick microphone, and when you go here into this sound recognition area, Superior Drummer already suggesting that this should be a kick, and you see here on the right it says match with kick sound, and it's pretty much good in capturing all the kicks. And you see here on the right, it even captures like some double hits, because though, and I will zoom in here right now, you see like those little peaks. This is the snare, but the software, as you see on those white lines, is clearly recognizing this hits to be a kick. Those hits are to be a kick. So the kick is pretty easy. What I do though is that I listen the whole song back and forth to make sure that every single kick hit was captured, because you can pretty much adjust all the things afterwards, and I will talk about this in a few. What the software will do after capturing all the hits, it will create a MIDI file, in this instance just the kick. So once you have the MIDI files placed and played in the same situation or same moment you want to have them, like the real recording, you can then afterwards, using Superior Drummer, do whatever you want with that, like replacing the kick and doing all the fun thing with it. But you need to capture the MIDI information. This is what the software is doing. Same for the snare here. So bring down the snare, solo that. So this is the original snare. And you see Superior Drummer again is capturing the snare because it understands what the snare is all about. But you see sometimes here in the middle, and this is kind of like you have this threshold line. So the software is showing you that this, for instance, this is the kick drum basically, which heard between the snare hit. It's lowered in this area here because Superior Drummer is saying, I hear a signal, but it's more likely not to be a snare, but I'll show you. So what you can do is like either adjusting this this threshold line here to kind of like everything above that line, the threshold, is going to be transferred or translated into a MIDI file for a snare. So they just capture the snare. If you bring it all the way down, like even the kick drums will be translated into a MIDI for snare, which you don't want, because so you bring it up. Again, listen to the whole song back and forth, especially on little fills or ghost notes, if this software is really capturing every single hit. You can adjust this amount knob here, which will increase the amount of hits you see here, like the little dots. If you crank it all the way up, it will pretty much kind of like capture every single note that's hearing during the recording. If it's kind of like a tom, a cymbal, ringing out of cymbals. So usually you don't want that. It's kind of like more usable for overheads if you want to bring out some cymbals maybe. Usually I start with all the way down, because if you have a good recorded snare drum, in this case snare top microphone, it's fairly easy to capture the notes, and if there's one or two notes that have been captured which is not the snare, you can easily just delete the MIDI information afterwards. So it's kind of like get a good starting point. For the toms, you see this was more a problem, because due to the 16th pattern that the drummer is playing throughout the whole song, the software had quite some difficulties to distinguish between the rag tom and the floor tom, because toms have a similar frequency curve. So though the rag tom is higher pitched, of course, and the floor tom is lower pitched, but it's kind of like the same. It depends on the recording. If the drums are really kind of like 10 inch and 16 inch, so really big difference, or it's maybe a 12 and a 14 inch, which are more similar. So the good thing here is, and you see down here in the bottom line, you see the detected sounds, it was 12. So this was kind of like the pattern where it was played. So let me jump to the, I think it was the bridge section here. So let's jump to the bridge, going back. So here are the rag tom hits. What I already did here, a lot of those points and things that you see here in the bottom, I've picked one of them, and you can always bring them back to just like highlight them, click trigger, and then it's gonna be triggered or translated into a MIDI performance. But I did quite the opposite when I worked on the track. I just listened to the track, and this is the mix now useful for. I just bring it so I just hear the original track and was clearly listening when the rag tom was hit and when the floor tom was hit. So I've picked like manually every single hit that was falsely triggered, highlighted that, clicked on de-trigger, and it's gonna like going down. So I just capture the rag tom here. So same for the floor tom, which was difficult because like playing a lot of notes at the same time. So sometimes the kick drum came into the way. So the software, because it's a really low tuned tom, so the kick drum sometimes came up and the software was recognizing a kick hit to be a floor tom hit. So that's what I did manually here. You see like the little gaps between the 16 note pattern here that I have to de-trigger sometimes. You see like the little notes here that are kind of like almost grayed out. So those were the notes that Superior Drummer recognized to be a floor tom, which they are basically not. So I have to de-trigger them. So the most difficult part after I was done, and by the way, the sound recognition here, when you click on that, you see it's offering me the tom and all the toms that Superior Drummer would offer. So in this case, I wanted to be a floor tom because I knew that was a floor tom hit. You can change it afterwards, but the thing is that because I allocated this to be a floor tom center hit, it will then be translated, and I will show you how this looks like in the end. It will translate those hits that had been detected to the floor tom note, which is usually I think 43, the MIDI note. So on the overheads, it's sometimes difficult. It depends on the quality of your recording, as always. So if the cymbals are clearly be heard, usually the overheads take the most processing. So let's have a listen on the overheads. I've soldered the overheads on the track, just bringing down the mix knob so you just hear the original recording and nothing from Superior Drummer so far. So what I did, because it was quite messy after Superior Drummer recorded that stuff, I just like heard the song back to forth again and just listened to the moments where the snare has been played. I left the trigger that Superior Drummer found basically above the threshold and brought literally every single thing, everything down, because I don't need the snare and the drums, the kick drum and the toms coming through the overhead, because using the direct microphones, it will create in Superior Drummer, or of course, the particular or corresponding audio file in the overhead. So I use the overheads just for capturing the cymbals. And the cool thing here is, let me start like when the song starts, and let's listen quite a few moments here. I will show you what I mean. So you heard like this moment, the drummer is sometimes playing different cymbals or just like hitting the right cymbal for an accent. I didn't care in that particular moment. All I wanted to capture is like there was a cymbal being played. So when I bring in now Superior Drummer and listen to the same pattern, let me just jump a section. So we hear nothing so far, but now the cymbal will kick in once this is passed. Right now, Superior Drummer just triggers every single cymbal hit. If it's the left, the crash, a splash cymbal, a china, a right cymbal, just always with the same cymbal in Superior Drummer. In this case, the main cymbal. But at the end, I don't care, because what the tracker will do afterwards, so once I captured all the notes, what I did, you can go to export. And now you see that this is the MIDI performance just of the kick, the snare, so on and so forth. But you can use all tracks combined, and then you just drag and drop it into the MIDI editor down in Superior Drummer to work from there, or directly into DAW once you have the whole MIDI performance. And then you can literally use Easy Drummer, Steven Slade drums, and digital drums, or in this case, and we will keep to Superior Drummer. So this is the performance, just like the straight recording from the software. And talking about the cymbal that I just talked about, when I play now the groove, so you hear some kind of like, sometimes the snare is too low, or the cymbal was too soft, but it's no problem, because now I have the whole performance of the song. What I can do now is I really go into the MIDI data, and like you will record your drums on an electronic drum set, you can now fine tune the performance. Either kind of like correcting the single hits to the grid, if you want to have the cymbal that's been played here. So that cymbal here, it's captured like every single cymbal, but what you can do, you can either bring it to another cymbal, or you can change every single MIDI note. So if you want the snare to be played, so let me say that section here, to be a rim shot, so now your work after capturing the performance is done. So now you can really fine tune, and this is what I need to do before I start the mix, to kind of like really bring the drums to life, trying to align the MIDI performance the same way the original drummer recorded his drums, to kind of like level match the different notes. You see here already Superior Drummer is asking me increase, decrease velocities globally for a certain pattern. I can change dynamics. I can randomize that, so to bring in more kind of like what's sometimes called the humanize function. So you can bring in, so it's not too static and robotic or machine gun effect. So this will take some time, but now let me first mute Superior Drummer. So now this is the, as you remember, the original performance from the original track. But when I now unmute Superior Drummer and mute the original drums, so listen what happens. Of course, it still sounds weak because just like the original recordings, it's still like always superior drummer, the raw samples. But let me, and now, and I haven't even decided which sample pack or which samples to use. This is just like the core library. So let me kind of like at least start with George Massenberg's Garage preset, which is not overly done. It's just like he added some basic EQ to the drums to like let them more shine. But let's listen now how this sounds. So again, a quick comparison A and B between those drums here. And the cool thing, as I said, now I have the MIDI performance. I can jump through all my different libraries. So why not trying, let's say, the Rock Foundry? I think it's too much. And just like jump to a cool set here. Let's pick the Ludwig 9071, which I like. So give him a little bit of time to load the sample. Here we go. So you see the options now are endless once you capture the performance. So this is my starting point for my next video or next videos. I'm not sure if I'm gonna divide this into several ones. Anyhow, this was just the tracker function. I think it's a really fantastic feature, which kind of like was always forgotten last year or 2017, I think, when they released Superior Drummer 3. It's a really progressive feature that kind of like will help a lot of musicians around the world to replace their acoustic drums, maybe old performances from years ago, using it to bring like the whole drum performance to life. I think this is a really cool feature. Thanks so far for watching, guys, and hopefully see you back in my next video mixing this song. Thanks.